Hello, everyone, and welcome back to What After Dentistry. Now, since we have been receiving a lot of interest from you guys towards the field of health informatics, today's video will talk about the scope and opportunities in this field in India after BDS or MDS. And to discuss this today, we have with us Dr. Garima Malik, an experienced healthcare management consultant for more than 8 years now, and currently working as a principal consultant with PwC India. She has previously worked with firms like Deloitte Consulting US India and ABI Health. She is well versed with various health informatics products and systems, which have helped her in managing a portfolio of various projects and has a strong epic and clinical understanding. With this video, we intend to provide you with in-depth understanding about the field of health informatics, how to get started, what are the opportunities specifically in India, and much more. So have a look at the interaction. Hi, Dr. Garima. It's a pleasure to have you on our channel today to talk about the scope and opportunities in the field of health informatics in India after BDS or MDS. So welcome you once again.
Thank you so much. I'm very, very glad to be a part of this session. And hopefully, I'm able to do much justice and add value to our conversations today.
Yeah, sure. So, we would like to know how has been your journey? Like, what was the point where you decided that you have to move from dentistry into health informatics?
Honestly, Shireen, it actually started, I think, third year of dentistry is when I actually made up my mind that this is not what I wanted to do. And honestly, it was not because the studies were tough. I think each of us were doing like incredibly well. I did not have any challenges while studying also, and that's the reason I also joined VDS. But I think the kind of the interest that I wanted to develop wasn't happening. So I honestly came back to my family. I was studying at Kurukshetra University while I had joined. And I came back in the third year after completing my third year and told my parents that this is not what I can really do. And honestly, I don't come from a doctor's family either. And I'm not saying that that's a deciding criteria also, that if you don't come from a background that belongs to a doctor family. But I came back and I said, I cannot have this interest. And I think that then how parents are, right? In case if you leave now and you join some Delhi university or some random course, you'll be 3 years behind everyone else and so on and so forth. I actually made up my mind, went back to the hostel. I studied for another 2 years, completed my dentistry, and came back. This time I came back sure saying, I will find out my way. But then again, how parents are, right? I was told that why don't you practice with another dentist? Maybe you develop that interest, give it a shot. I actually did that also. I did that for a year. I was working with another dentist for a year. I used to work for a charitable. I used to work for a private dental clinic also. And I think between that time, I had actually for my vacation for about I think a month, I had gone to my brother who stays in the US. And I actually came across a couple of people there who had actually completed dentistry and were doing courses like a master's in hospital administration, master's in public health. A lot more that I heard around that time, and I'm talking about 2013. No, I'm talking about 2010 when I completed dentistry. That's the year that I went, and I heard John Hopkins, New York University, all of these offering these courses. I think that made me sure that this is what I wanted to do. And I understood in depth the entire course around that time. So that was the leading cause and made me move actually into an MHA and take that decision.
I think that's absolutely correct. Many a times we do end up taking BDS either of reasons, now not because of passion or because we want to do that, but because say we were not able to get MBBS seat or there's a parental pressure. So a lot of students are like that, and then
Absolutely.
when you finally realize, because by the time you reach internship, you know what you want to do in life. I don't think,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So you generally,
And you will not believe, uh, sorry, you will actually not believe. I used to see my own colleagues studying through MDS, preparing for MDS during internship, and I was so clueless at that time because I really did not want to read another book or prepare for an MDS because I was not even in my head. So I just waited for to complete those 12 months of rotatory internship and just move out of there. So that's how it actually made up my mind.
Absolutely. I can totally comprehend with you because that has been my journey as well. So yes, I can totally understand what you have been through. So we know that health informatics in India, it has started to gain popularity. People still don't know what exactly you have to do. Many a times, we receive questions from our audience because mostly we have dentists or medical professionals. So they come up and they ask what technology we have to learn, what language we have to learn. So please guide our audience in terms of what this career field is all about.
So I'll start with a very basic introduction with health informatics, which actually really does not require you to have a language like a C++ or a Java, because that is all meant for the people who actually have done engineering. So that's only relevant to them. And if I am coming from, or you or the audience is coming from somebody who's done an MBBS or has done a BDS, I don't see any relevance that you would have been exposed to any kind of languages in the first place. Now, health informatics is a very, I would not say it's a vague term, it's a very huge term, and encapsulates a lot of other factors to it. You absolutely do not need to know any language in this case. You are not a backend person. You're not creating some master data. You're not creating the architecture. Let's leave that job for the people who have actually done engineering. Let them take that ownership. We are the front end people actually. We are the ones who are going to gather that requirement. We are the ones who are going to create it for the hospitals or for the dentist or for the hospital industry altogether, anywhere in the healthcare industry. I know informatics usually is the perception, and I know a lot of people also think that if I start working for a health IT company, I am tagged as somebody who's either an engineer or has done some MBA. That is absolutely not true again. So you are actually supposed to understand that health informatics is actually a field, or you could say digital health, as we have fancily now today call it, or digital transformations. They actually require people like us who have the understanding of clinical, who understand what is a workflow in a hospital. Now, while you understand all of this, the processes and operations and everything, because you're well versed with it, you have been in the industry for those 5 years of your studies. Now you're going to use that technology to help elevate or automate those processes. And automation is just one part of it. I would not say there's data analytics, there's data monetization. This is all that is you're using a technology, which is IT, and implementing it in your hospital or any standalone clinic, and then helping. So if I were to bring an IT person altogether, he would not know what is an OPD, which is an outpatient department. He would not be understanding when a patient enters, he's supposed to go through a registration billing, move into a nursing assessment, all of these terminologies of pharmacy for that matter, he or she will not be very well versed with. So in a very simple cut short, it'll be you understand the processes, you being the doctor, you being the dentist, you being the healthcare professional, you bring in technology, use that technology in the best way possible, and execute or operate or automate some processes there.
Right, absolutely. So, to understand it better for the audience and just to make it in a very simplified terms, what she's trying to say is that you as a healthcare profession, you bridge the gap between the technical team that we have and the clients. That is, again, the client is coming from the hospital background, so they don't understand technology at all, and the technology people, they don't understand healthcare. So you are the one, if you get into this field, you are the one who's bridging this gap between these two main stakeholders that we have in any healthcare IT organization. So, moving ahead, like many a times they also ask us questions in terms of where should I, get this health informatics done? Either I should pursue from India or should I pursue it from abroad and then come back to India? So, what would you suggest?
Honestly, that's an absolute personal choice. If you were to say, let's weigh it here in India versus weigh it somewhere in US or maybe any other part of the country, uh, I would still say it's a personal choice. Yes, it is more advanced in the, since India is still a developing country. I would still say it is more in an advanced fashion in maybe US, Australia, Canada. These are the places that are really, and the organizations and the universities are offering this course. If I were to say, had I a personal choice, I had, even I wanted to do it from a New York university, get that tag, because psychologically we all have that university thing. And then I also wanted to settle there. Unfortunately, none of it happened. I actually never went there. I never studied from there. I studied from IIHMR, but I'm still happy. So I wouldn't say that there's you should be doing it from an Australia university or from a US university. I would absolutely say if you have a long-term vision wherein you see yourself situated in some part of the world, that's the focus. Every university today offers this course. Yes, there is of course a top 10 or a top 50 list that you would want to aspire or would want to study from a university. Definitely that's there. But I wouldn't say studying from India has done any harm to me. I have absolutely, over my 9 years of now experience into healthcare IT, I think it's been wonderful and it's been fantastic. And there are multiple opportunities here in India. I would honestly say that.
Yes, absolutely correct. And what you mentioned that, it's very important to analyze that where do you want to be 5 years or 10 years down the line? You want to settle in India, do it from India, because when you do from one specific country, I think they will be also telling about the healthcare system. It's totally different. Healthcare system in US will be different from what is there in Australia, from what is there in India. So I think we has as individuals or as people who are bridging this gap, it's very important for us also to understand the healthcare system of that particular nation. So she correctly mentions that if you envision yourself seeing or settled in US or in Australia or in Canada, it is always a good idea to pursue this course from that particular country of origin where you want to settle yourself. Absolutely correct. So now if somebody wants to work in this field, how is the growth trajectory in specifically in India?
So, for the audience here, I think the growth trajectory, and I'm just not referring to COVID because it's stuck and healthcare was at a boom. Everything associated with digital, and I'm not just talking healthcare, financing, banking, a lot of your law, judicial, all is getting into digital. So now people are helpless today. The courtroom discussions are happening virtually. Like I am operating out of home for about now last 1.5 year. So yes, digital is here to stay. The growth trajectory specifically in health, if you would ask me, yes, India is a developing nation. It's still growing. There are a lot of protocols, there are a lot of regulations that the government has to yet implement and is implementing for sure. So if you were to see the trajectory here, it's growing and it's the fastest growing. So opportunities on those aspects are humongous here. And if I were to compare it to a Middle East or to a US or to a UK or to a Canada, absolutely great. They are a more settled systems. They are more advanced than us for sure. But yes, there are always some lack that's there in the systems as well, and they are also aiming for that. I was just initially working for a project and a proposal in this case, and I would like to cite that. I always thought that Middle East was very, very well developed and they have a very good healthcare system, and that's actually not true. They're still struggling with the basics of an electronic medical record, which I thought India is the only country or the nation that's still struggling and has not implemented it. But it's sad to see that Middle East also is this just equivalent to an India. So if you were to see the kind of the growth that's happening, the kind of the future that we see is humongous. And I clearly say this because I've seen other sectors that have grown, have actually grown really well, which includes banking at the topmost. Healthcare is developing, and India is here to stay, and India is here to grow manifolds for sure.
Right, absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. So, what are the skills required, that one should acquire while pursuing this field, or if they want to get into this field?
Um, I would talk from two aspects here. One is from the education point of view. So while you study an MHA or an MPH, like public health, which is or hospital administration, you're always happy to choose entering into an admin for a hospital or work for a government agency or an NGO for that matter. And the third, of course, is healthcare informatics. I chose healthcare informatics in my second year, and I think I kind of the exposure that I got as my first firm was more into implementation. Now, what kind of skills I actually, if you were to honestly ask me if I had the skills, we all have that skills in terms of you've understood. Nothing that you have to cram or you have to really think about. You are exposed to a hospital environment or to a clinician environment, and you are supposed to look at the processes and then use that technology basically, and make those wise decisions, do some gap analysis, do some gathering requirements, and see if your product is the best fit. If not, then what can be customized, what can be done, and what cannot be done. So that's the skill set that you use. The basic skill set is you understand the processes there. You are trying to automate something. Is there some requirement of a user that's lagging? If it's the end user who's facing the issue, or it's the admin that's facing an issue. So this is one aspect of the education part of it. And while you enter into this, there are multiple fields that you will get exposed to. There's implementation, there's consulting that you can do, there is just backend support that you can do for a product. And that too, a healthcare individual can do it much better, because you know the processes. When you're talking to a hospital clinician, you understand their terminology, I relate to it, and hence we fix that mess. So the exposure and the kind of the growth and the skills that you need are very basic to start with. And as you get into the field, as you get exposed to different environments, I think that will just keep on growing. With consulting, it's very different. You are supposed to consult maybe a technology company trying to get into healthcare, versus a healthcare organization like a hospital, a big chain hospital is looking at a very basic automation in that case.
Right, absolutely correct, absolutely. And also, as you grow in this, or as you work in the industry, you get to know what all skills are required, because your area of interest might also, change. As you said, health informatics is one, it's a big umbrella of various other
Yeah.
fields within it. So depending on what is one's area of interest, they can always acquire the skills as per the industry needs. Absolutely correct. So, what are the top challenges that you might have faced or one can face when they are working in this industry, especially when we come from a medical or a dental background?
Um, I think now 2021, I see the challenges much lesser than at least that were 10 years back, because at least 10 years back nobody understood healthcare IT. They, like, when I was about to take healthcare IT or enter into an IT firm, everybody thought, why would a dentist do an MHA, not practice, and then enter into an IT firm? How strange is it? And honestly, like, jokes apart, my mother used to tell me, I'm going to explain everyone else, what do you do? I said, look, this is, and I'm talking 10 years back. Today, from where I stand, and I know the kind of the respect that I get is very different. People do understand. So it's not no more naive, it's no more difficult for people to understand or relate to this industry at all. So what are the challenges? The challenges could be very basic. Look, one is and that could be even lesser today, because even an IT company like an Intel, or a pharmaceutical company like an Indegene also are looking into the healthcare verticals now. I wouldn't have ever thought of Google Health becoming so famous. Amazon looking into that. So the companies today, and you just don't have to focus on a healthcare organization in this case. Go to all these Intel and all of these technology companies are looking into this. The challenges were very basic initially. One is very like very naive, have not understood the industry too well, can face a little bit of challenges. How I'm going to fit in, what kind of an environment is going to be, are they going to ask me to do some coding? Actually, that's not the case at all. So coding, let's leave it to the engineers, let them do their work. Let's just go ahead and bridge that gap. So challenges, Shireen, I don't see any major challenges, and people should be very open. The audience should be very open and open-minded to go ahead with this decision.
Absolutely correct. So, how has the ongoing pandemic? How has this impacted the sector?
I think as much as I want to, like, people will hate me to say this, the pandemic actually boosted the healthcare industry. I know a lot of lives were lost. I know families have been broken, but healthcare, pharmaceutical are at the boom. So the sector in all its strength has, I think, maybe 200% more of the work that we have got this time. Even companies, smaller companies, barely startups, 2 years old startups have asked us, what can we do in this pandemic? How can I use my technology to get into healthcare? What is that I can just develop in 3 months? So it's been a major boost post the pandemic, and I do not see it going anywhere else. People have become more alert, companies have become more smarter, They understand the value of technology. They understand what's virtual healthcare today. They realize it. People have really have had those teleconsultations. So they they've started accepting it, including my own parents,
Yes.
right? Today, because you are very fearful of going to a hospital. Now, of course, things have got better, and of course, the pandemic is going away. Uh, but still, during that course of time of those 6 7 months, which was terrible, people were doing teleconsultation. I had my mother do a teleconsultation with a cardiologist because she had some trouble. And yes, people are doing those online payments. They are attending to doctors. I know the elder generation becomes a little uncomfortable, but yes, it has definitely given a boost to the entire healthcare economy.
Right, absolutely. I can totally, these all these telehealth and telemedicine consultations or apps that we had, I used to feel that these have not been used since long. But I think in these span of like 1.5 years, so many teleconsultations, have happened. As you said, you did it for your mother. I also did it for my son, for ourselves. So yes, people are now accepting it. They were earlier not accepting this kind of a technology, but yes,
Yeah.
even the population has started to realize that this kind of a basic consultation, you can easily do it from home. You don't have to visit a clinic or a hospital setup. Absolutely correct.
Absolutely.
So, what is the best way to crack a job in this field?
Um, I think I, if I were to talk for a fresher, I know the universities do help. A lot of companies come on campus. You can get placed into good ID firms, which have a very designated healthcare verticals. There are other companies like consulting companies, which you could include a big four like a PwC or a Deloitte. When they are also coming in, they also look at business analysts to start with. Now, business analyst also to start with, and I'm talking just in the context of a fresher, it is not very difficult. So the basics that they would expect of you is a little bit of some logical reasoning as to why would you do this. There's some data analytics that you should understand. There's basic Excel macro that you should be knowing. What are the basics calculations that you should do. You should be aware, of course, if you have studied, you would be aware of how the healthcare economy works. What is the kind of the expenditure that the nation does. So all of these basics, and as a business analyst, once you kickstart your journey, or as a consultant for that matter, when you get exposed, shouldn't be a very difficult. I still remember my very first interview when I cleared, and this company called Attune Technologies had come on the campus. My very basic, I was put into a task wherein they asked me, in case you were put at a client place, you have a product, you understand the product pretty well. Now this stakeholder saying, we want this, these are the additional factors, these are the additional things we need, what would you do in that case? And that is no brainer. I mean, that's me who has to take a decision at that point in time. And I think my very simple answer was, in case if that's my part of a package, if I understand that I've sold you a product for an X lakh, and I know this is what my product holds. If you're asking for some additional requirements, if it fits into my product, and if it does not require any specific coding that needs to be done for my product, happy to take it. Else it's taken as a customization, which is an additional charge. And I think that is all I required to impress the panel at that point in time. And I didn't feel that it was something to relate with. They didn't even ask me questions. Do you know how big is the healthcare industry? Or do you know who all people? And do you know who are the stakeholders? What is the percentage of that OPD versus the expense that we do? Nothing of those sorts. It was just put into a task, a case study given to me, and just very logically I answered that, and I think I was taken through.
Absolutely correct. I think that's amazing. What are the various government initiatives that have been taken in the sector? And we know, like last year, NDHM was announced. So what are all the other
Yes.
initiatives that the government is taking in?
So, Shane, NDHM is one that is getting a lot of traction these days. A lot of companies are also trying to do it. The another one that within the NDHM is, earlier the main focus was having a centralized electronic patient record for a patient, right? And we were trying to simulate into one centralized authority where everybody could access. The government now also under the NDHM itself, they have not really named it. They're also looking at the labs now. They've started targeting the labs, saying that we would want to really see that the labs, not like a Lal Path lab doing its own set of reports. Metropol is doing own sets of report. Now also want a consolidated data, just like an EMR. And now they are pushing, and I understand that there's a lot of background research that's going on what can motivate the labs to have one consolidated data and share it across. So that is one of the very big initiatives that's being launched and is under process. They're already looking at the companies who could bid for this RFP and then go ahead and take this as a forward-looking step for the
Right,
nation.
absolutely. So I think when when the government pitches in and they start intervening in that, you have to adopt to technology in healthcare.
Yeah,
I think we are going to see a lot of boom happening and a lot of opportunities also coming in. Yeah.
absolutely, definitely.
So all you audience, make sure that you have all these pointers written down somewhere. You can start working on, in this field. You can start looking out for courses which are being offered in this particular field, because many universities are now pitching and they are providing for master's course or certificate courses in health informatics. So Garima, what would be your last tip or advice for the audience?
Uh, I think from all that I've said, and I hope that's of help. I think one last tip is uh, a lot of people, at least today, and at least those people that I come in touch with, are still very hesitant to understand healthcare informatics. Please don't get scared of it. I mean, it's just uh, nothing but your health understanding, your exposure to an hospital, your degree that really matters at that point in time, because you understand the processes well, and you're just using a best initiative and a technology to get in there. So a lot of people still see, and I know that a lot of you are actually now also thinking that hospital is a safer bet. I can get into admin, into quality or operations, and my life is settled. I would want to push all of you there that there is a lot of scope, and this scope for healthcare informatics is just does not end at an IT firm. A consulting firm would require your expertise over these years that you well understand to tell companies like a Google or Amazon what they should be doing in health. So I would just want you to just take it in a very good spirit, and if need be, explain it to your parents that yes, but I'm not going to be a coder, I'm not going to be somebody who's doing some back end work. I'll be still be the front end because I have that knowledge, and nobody can challenge that knowledge what I have. So I think that that's very crucial for all of those people who are listening to this today, not to be afraid. This health informatics, please Google, please try understanding, talk to your peers, talk to people who have already have exposed or have exposure to all of these domains for about some couple of years to go ahead with this.
Absolutely correct. So as she has mentioned, there's nothing to worry about this field. You don't have to learn any kind of technology or any kind of coding system or any coding language. That work is still done by the technical team, the developers, and let them do their job and you do your job. I think that's a well and a good take-home message that you guys can take from this session. So thank you so much, Garima, for coming on our platform and sharing all these insights, because these are very general questions that we have been receiving, from the audience. So thank you for sharing all the insights.
Absolute pleasure to be here, Shireen, and thank you for making me a part of this. I would be really helpful if at least none, let's say about 10 of people get influenced and actually look into this field and take a step forward and not hesitate about this.
Absolutely, absolutely. So all you audience, thank you very much for patiently listening to us today. I hope that this session gives you more insights on this field of health informatics, which has a humongous scope and has a lot of opportunities in the coming years. As we see, the government is also pitching in and they're also trying hard to come up with various initiatives in this particular sector. So thank you everyone. And I will see you in the next video. Before I sign off, please subscribe to our channel. It's absolutely free. Like and share this in your network, because this might help out somebody who wants to pursue this field. I will see you in the next video. Until then, bye and good luck.